on middle-income Americans.
Joining me now, Simon Rosenberg, the director of the New Democrat Network and a former campaign advisor to President Clinton, and Marc Thiessen, a former speechwriter for President George W. Bush and a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for being here.
Sure.
Marc, let me start with you.
Thanks.
The piece that's being pulled out and played over and over and over is, I'm not concerned about the very poor. I'm not concerned about the very poor. Already the Democrats have made an ad out of it. Newt Gingrich has gone after him about it. As you can see in that clip, that's not the full context of the remark. But what was he trying to say?
What he was trying to say was that the poor are taken care of by the nanny state. I mean, I think that the wrong focus is to say that he doesn't care about the poor. What I'm concerned about as a conservative is that he doesn't seem to care about the nanny state. We as conservatives actually do care about the poor. We're the party of of opportunity society and upward mobility. And the problem that we face in this country is that under Barack Obama's economy, 2 million people have gone from the middle class into poverty. And so we should not be okay with 2 million people going into poverty. We should not be okay with a permanent underclass that lives off of on welfare and vouchers and the rest. As Romney said, what the message he should be articulating is we don't accept a permanent underclass. We believe in upward mobility, not the downward mobility of Barack Obama.
Simon, there's, obviously you can take that soundbite and make hay of it, right? But there's an interesting op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today that talks about how there's a reason he's not that concerned with the underclass and, is satisfied with their safety net. Marc's not, but he doesn't like that. But there's a reason, and they talk about how the social problems associated with the so-called underclass have their origins in deep cultural changes that are beyond the capability of any president to undo. What say you?
Well, I think the other thing that Mitt said that was a little disturbing was that it's only 5 or 10% of the public that is deeply poor. It's actually 20% by some measures. It can be much higher. And I just think all of this is reinforcing. It's just what makes this odd, Megan. I really agree with a lot of what Marc said. So what makes this odd is that the guy running for president basically said, I don't care about 20% of the country. And
because he thinks they're already taken care of with the so-called safety
But that's
net.
silly. It's a silly statement. He could have said, I'm fighting for the middle class without saying that, oh, and by the way, I don't care about 1 out of 5 Americans. They're doing just fine. They're not doing just fine. This is where Marc is correct and where Rush Limbaugh is correct. We shouldn't be satisfied with 20% of the country in poverty right now. And I think it was a bizarre, out-of-touch statement reflective of other things that have stumbled out of Mitt Romney's mouth. And what all this reminds us is that Mitt Romney's only won one election in his career. He's not a deeply experienced politician. He's not very articulate. He's made an incredible number of mistakes on the campaign trail. And if I were a Republican, I would be worried about his basic competency to conduct himself against Barack Obama in the fall election.
You know what's interesting to me is that he has said this thing repeatedly on the campaign trail. Repeatedly.
Right.
Here's from a town hall meeting in October. And this is a quote. The people who need the help most are not the poor, who have a safety net, not the rich, who are doing just fine, but the middle class. Then there was a debate in October where he said almost exactly the same thing. If you hear him on the stump, he says almost this exact same. It just came. The phraseology was inept this time around, Marc. But that's politics in today's day and age.
Yeah, I wish Simon wouldn't agree with me so much, because I don't think he's right to say that Mitt Romney doesn't care about 20% of the country that's in poverty. He does care about them. He thinks they're taken care of, and it's perfectly fine for them to be as part of the nanny state that the liberal Democrats have created. What he should be doing is what Ronald Reagan said in his 1992 convention speech, his parting address to the Republican Party. He said we should not be satisfied with the fact that millions of our citizens live in poverty and in the fear of violence and won't leave their homes and live in this abject poverty. We should dedicate ourselves to a new beginning for them. We don't accept as conservatives the downward mobility society of Barack Obama. We don't accept as conservatives the permanent welfare state. We want to help poor people become middle class. We want to help poor people get jobs and opportunity in education. And I think that's the message Mitt Romney needs to be articulating.
You know, some of our viewers have emailed in, Simon, pointing out that of all the candidates on the GOP side and including President Obama on the Democratic side, Mitt Romney's the one who gave most to charity to help disadvantaged folks. Does that move you at all?
No, it's a percentage of his income. I think the challenge for the Republicans right now, if Mitt Romney's the nominee, if they go into the election looking like they're the party who are protecting people who are wealthy and have privilege against a party that's fighting for everyday Americans, they're going to lose. It's one of the reasons why the Republican Party's numbers are down all across the country. Mitt Romney is one of the most unpopular potential nominees in the modern era of polling. Republican Party numbers are 15 to 20 points below the Democrats. In the Wall Street Journal poll, Barack Obama's winning by 6 points last week. And so part of this is that what I think the fear, and even Rush Limbaugh, I'm just going to paraphrase Rush Limbaugh, right? This fear that it can be, that these kind of words can be made into a caricature of a heartless rich guy who doesn't care about wealthy people.
Everybody knows what he's trying to say, but he didn't say it, and he makes himself a target with this stuff, coming across as a prototypical rich Republican.
I agree with Marc and I agree with Rush today.
I got it. And we'll leave it at that.